Sometimes influencers don't realize when it's time to quit, and by the time the views have dried up, most of their audience has already turned against them. You'd expect someone to lay low after a big downfall, but not for Bobbi Althoff. Her podcast stopped getting views, her husband divorced her, and the man who got her famous destroyed her career. But Bobbi still didn't stop chasing the money, and she proved that with skipping her daughter's first birthday for a podcast. So when the views dropped and the money started running out, it was only a matter of time before Bobbi crawled back to Drake, hoping for a successful comeback.
Welcome to a much more refined, poised, and pleasant.
Pleasant? I don't know about that.
I know. I
think that was just a word you...
I'm trying to get you brand deals.
Oh, so you want me to be more pleasant this time?
No, I'm just saying.
Is that what I mean?
But what makes this return even more tragic is that her first Drake moment was both her biggest win and the start of her biggest loss. Her new podcast is already headed for disaster, and it shows how much control Drake still has over her.
Welcome to the first episode that no one asked for.
Not this
again. Wow, you did it.
Wow.
We didn't even plan that.
I
It
know.
seems so planned. Should we get comfortable? I
You
don't...
should.
Looking back, this is exactly how her downfall started the last time.
I do it. There's, you
Not an it.
No, I just felt
You do it.
Back then, this seemed like the biggest win of her career, but it instantly became the beginning of her collapse too. And this wasn't an accident. Many people feel like she deserved her downfall, and that's why people are already calling this comeback a flop before it even has the chance to start. But to understand how she went from being a popular influencer to a money-chasing podcaster who lost it all, we need to rewind her story. Before all the podcast drama, Bobbi was just a mom. She had married a rich guy, had 2 kids, and started making TikToks that didn't look like anything the perfect mom life other influencers were posting. Instead of staged family moments, she leaned into sarcastic mom jokes, awkward dances with bananas, and deadpan skits. That weird, dry humor is what first made her stand out.
Being a mom is the best thing to ever happen to me, even though it's the hardest thing that I've ever had to do. And it complicates, obviously, every aspect of your life, but it also just gives me purpose.
By 2021, she was posting nonstop. Brand deals rolled in, and suddenly this awkward mom content was pulling in between $250,000 and $300,000 a year.
How do you make money now?
Well, now with my podcast, but for a long time I made it with just brand deals off of TikTok. I brought in at least $300,000 each year.
But just being a TikTok mom wasn't enough for Bobbi. She wanted to level up. By 2023, she took that same sarcastic, awkward vibe from TikTok and flipped it into podcasting. Her first guest was comedian Colleen Bellinger. It was weird but promising. Then came Funny Marco, and that's when everything exploded. Over 5 million views later, Bobbi had a viral podcast and a clear path into the mainstream.
So like, who are you? Like, where'd you?
Who am I?
Yeah.
Is that a serious question? I have more followers than you on TikTok.
I know, I don't be on TikTok.
Huh?
I don't really be on TikTok.
It looked like the formula worked, but the same hype that blew her up is what made her crash just as fast. Because within a year, the views were gone. But Bobbi didn't give up. She tried solo episodes to gain some more traction, but they barely reached a few 100,000 views. Without famous guests, her awkward style couldn't carry the show. But Bobbi didn't panic yet because she still had a live tour with Funny Marco planned. This tour was supposed to bring her podcast energy to the stage, but it crashed before it even started. Fans were already done with her fake I don't care persona, and live on stage, it turned into a total disaster. No energy, just awkward silence and dry jokes that didn't land. The hype wasn't there, so the tour got canceled, and instead of backing down, she quickly turned it into her own solo tour. But the internet wasn't buying it. Fans dragged her for using Marco as a test run, accusing her of clout chasing and ditching him the second she thought she could go solo. In desperation, she staged a funeral episode for her really good podcast, but instead of making people feel sad for her, it looked like a stunt. It was filled with ads, which just made it look like another cash grab. By now, everybody has lost trust in her, except for herself. So after her solo vlogs flopped, her live tour got canceled and pretty much everything else failed. She went back to the one that destroyed her career in the first place, what led to this hilarious comeback. Because just when it felt like the Bobbi era was officially dead, Drake pops back up with a new album, Iceman. And somehow Bobbie's right back in his life. Out of nowhere, she announces a new podcast called Not This Again. But the big shocker came when the audience saw that Drake was the first guest. Drake opens the video with a smile, saying this is going to be a much more refined, poised, and pleasant podcast. It looked like a rebrand for Bobbie, a way to reset her image. But the truth is, their first collab ended in a disaster. The episode disappeared, they unfollowed each other, and gossip filled the gap. Headlines about their rumored tension were everywhere. For her to start her comeback with him again felt like reopening an old wound that had never healed. That's why the internet was so confused. Her new show, Not This Again, was probably meant as a new start for her. But even the name feels ironic because fans couldn't help but say, literally, not this again. It made the whole comeback feel desperate from the start. This guy said, feels like the Thanos scene. You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me. They tried to package the teaser all classy with the fancy furniture, but when everybody saw them laying in a bed with a podcast mic again, they got bad flashbacks. Because her first Drake interview was on a bed in a hotel room and she did exactly what she had been doing with comedians. Awkward, weird small talk. Clips from the interview flooded TikTok. Within days, it had racked up over 10 million views. Overnight, Bobbie went from being a TikTok mom to sitting across one of the biggest rappers in the world. For her, this was the breakthrough moment. Or at least that's what it looked like. Because what Bobbie said in that podcast drove a lot of people mad. She just said she missed her daughter's first birthday for this, like it meant nothing. Even Drake called her out, saying she was being a horrible parent. And just like that, one clip turned viral for all the wrong reasons.
You missed your daughter's first birthday.
To be here.
Dark. Regret that you'll never be able to undo.
Yeah.
Horrible parenting.
Where's your son?
Somewhere safe, and it's not his birthday.
When's his birthday?
What does it matter? It ain't today, honey.
And this is where the story takes a darker turn. The fallout at home came quickly after that. Just weeks after the episode dropped, her husband Corey filed for divorce, blaming it on problems they just couldn't fix. The timing was brutal. Fans drew a straight line between the Drake interview and the collapse of her marriage. And then the rumors started flying. People speculated that Bobbie and Drake had something going on beyond the interview. Others accused her of selling out her family life for clout. But the real shocker came when the famous Drake episode disappeared. And it wasn't just that. Bobbie and Drake had unfollowed each other as well, which instantly made fans start doubting her. Things got even messier when clips popped up of her acting weird at his concert, standing stiff in the VIP section like she didn't even want to be there. Drake himself later called her out for being awkward and making the whole thing about her. That's when people started realizing maybe this friendship wasn't as real as it looked. But the doubts about Bobbie didn't stop there. Even before the Drake drama, people were suspicious of how fast Bobbie rose. Within a few months of starting her podcast, she had interviews with Offset, Mark Cuban, Lil Yachty, and other A-listers. But to her audience, this all seemed a little too good to be true. Fans online started calling her an industry plant, pointing to the fact that she had the same management company as Drake. And the clips of Offset roasting her also didn't help.
You need a little bit of seasoning. You ain't got no seasoning, man. You like a plain piece of chicken just on the thing, you pull it off, and then you serve the dish. You need some motherfucking seasoning, man. Damn, I'm trying to get you to play. You lost in the sauce. You ain't shaking my hand. We finna get you to 25 million. You know what I'm saying?
The more people learned, the more they felt like her brand was shallow. Clips of celebrities roasting her piled up and her fan base started to turn against her. When she realized her podcast had really died out, she decided to put an end to it.
All right, guys. I don't really think there's any good way to say this, but this is the last episode of the Really Good Podcast. I feel like I should take my glasses off to say it too. This is the last episode of the Really Good Podcast, and it has been...
Even in this last episode, she proved once again she did everything for the money. She packaged it as a sad ending, but she put the whole video full of sponsor deals. And that is when everyone realized Bobbie hasn't changed. She probably expected her audience to be sad with the ending of her podcast, but most of her comment section was relieved. This is a good reminder that all bad things do come to an end. But once again, Bobbie didn't quit trying to rebrand. After the podcast declined, she launched a vlog series. When you look at the structure of the show, it fell apart too. long, awkward silences without payoff, and the episodes were drowned in sponsorship deals again. The audience that made her famous was happy to see her go, and her new attempt to fame came crashing down once again. One guy said, "This is what happens when you leave your family to chase clout." Her husband found out she cheated, so he divorced her. But here's the problem. It flopped instantly. One vlog had more dislikes than likes, with comments dragging her for being uninteresting outside interviews. Wow, she really wasn't joking when she said she fell off. The difference in the numbers compared to just a year ago is staggering. She leaned into PR instead. She lined up interviews to tell her story on Forbes, Wired, and Business Insider. But those pieces backfired too. Readers called them paid placements and mocked her quotes.
What is your interviewing technique?
Just no research, show up, and ask questions.
In Forbes, she admitted her method was no research, just show up. It was supposed to sound authentic, but instead confirmed what fans already said. She wasn't serious about her content.
My own.
How do you prep for a show?
I don't. At all. I didn't prep for this either, but I kind of had regrets about that when I sat down. I was like, I should have read that list my peer.
In Wired, she said, "There's just no way I don't make money in my life." That line spread like wildfire, reminding her fans why she was really in it.
Every avenue until finally that took off, but I was like, something would take off. There's just no way that I don't make money in my life. I need to figure out.
Each PR move made her look worse. Instead of rebuilding her image, she looked like someone trying to buy credibility. By then, her reputation was set. To the public, Bobbie wasn't a podcaster or a creator. She was just chasing the next paycheck. One guy said, "What a terrible role model for young girls and women. She is the least inspirational individual on YouTube." And others criticized Wired for doing the interview in the first place. Hey, Wired, let's do the responsible thing by highlighting people who are actually doing good in the world and not just chasing money. By highlighting people like this, you are now part of the problem. But to get why she went from people loving her content to fans dragging Wired for even giving her a mic, we have to look back at the style that made her blow up in the first place. At first, Bobbie's awkward silences and flat tone felt fresh. People compared her to shows like Between Two Ferns or Chicken Shop Date. It looked like she was creating her own lane with a dry, sarcastic style that stood out. Her interviews with Funny Marco and early guests had the right balance of uncomfortable but funny. The pauses were long enough to make people laugh. The blunt responses felt like a parody of traditional podcast interviews. But the magic vanished fast. What once felt fresh now felt forced, and fans didn't hold back. They called it dull, predictable, even painful to watch. By the end of 2023, the numbers told the truth. The hype was dead, and her empire was crumbling with it. Big names didn't save her anymore because the audience was already over it. The downfall became its own trend. Bobbie had gone from refreshing to finished in less than 6 months. Bobbie even said herself that she had no real talents, no deep interest in the craft, and she just wanted to cash in. That kind of honesty might sound refreshing at first, but over time it turned people against her. Instead of seeing a creator who loved their audience, fans saw someone who felt cold, calculated, and ready to use anyone just to get paid. Worse, they saw it wasn't just her career she sacrificed. To many, Bobbie became the face of someone who didn't care about the craft, her audience, or even her family. Just the money. And that's why, in the eyes of so many online, her downfall felt deserved. But if you thought the story ended there, think again. Because behind the camera, her real life was falling apart too. The speculations around her divorce didn't stop, and her fans wanted answers. Rumors only added fuel. Gossip pages linked her to Drake, boxer Ryan Garcia, and even NFL players. None of it was confirmed, but it's clear that fans can do better research than the FBI sometimes. Clips of her leaving clubs drunk went viral. In one, she had to be carried out, which made the internet pile on even more. Her awkward persona didn't match the messy nightlife. The quiet, sarcastic podcaster suddenly looked like just another Hollywood mess, and fans loved tearing her down. One guy said, "Just more proof that she does indeed belong to the streets. She left her marriage and children for the limelight. Once her looks are gone and she's been run through by a few dozen athletes, she'll be all alone. Hope it was worth it." The soft launch with her NFL boyfriend backfired too. She posted him in her story trying to hint at a new relationship. He denied it almost instantly, leaving her embarrassed in front of millions.
Guys, my boyfriend made me dinner. What did you make tonight?
I made some Mexican rice, found on Google,
Okay.
and just some regular broccoli.
All
Nice
right.
and easy, nice and simple.
What should I start with?
Each scandal teared her reputation of a clever podcaster down and made her look more like a clout chaser. Even in celebrity circles, her reputation started to crumble. But what makes Bobbi's downfall sting is how fast the rise was. She started with parody mom content on TikTok, racking up 3.5 million followers in just a couple of years. Her brand deals alone were making her hundreds of thousands of dollars a year before she even touched podcasting. She already had a career most creators dream about. But that wasn't enough, because her obsession with money never stopped. If she had stayed in her original lane, posting sarcastic mom content and stacking brand deals, she might have lasted longer. But Bobbie didn't just want views, she wanted money. She wanted fame so badly that she even sacrificed her family for it. But now Bobbie is trying again, relaunching under a new title, Not This Again. It seems like a fresh start, a chance to prove she learned from the chaos. But the first episode already showed the cracks. She could have chosen a new guest, a new angle, something that showed growth. Instead, she chose to go with the one that had called her out for many things again. The rebrand feels recycled. The same forced silliness, the same tension that once felt fresh but now just feels tired. The issue isn't just style, it's trust. After many fails, canceled tours, and a podcast funeral, viewers aren't coming in with an open mind. They're coming in with receipts. They remember the divorce, the soft launch, the money chasing. Even in celebrity culture, she has burned bridges. And the truth is, the internet doesn't forgive reruns, which is why, before it even had a chance to breathe, Bobbi Althoff's comeback is already a disaster. Now, if you don't want to miss any other influencer scandals, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.